Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Monday, so you know what that means. It is time once again for the Shawn Yankey Show, so get in here. Welcome back. Come on in. This is a live interactive chat show, something ain't never been done before. First of its kind. We talk about absolutely anything at all, so come on in and join in on our discussion. Now, as usual, I've got some stuff planned out to get into. As you can see from the description, we're going to have to talk about the elephant in the room again. But after that, it's going to be comment driven. And I may know where we're going to start out, which is going to be talking about George Floyd and unpacking this event. In my opinion on what I've discovered, researching it. But where we end up could be anywhere. I have no idea where we'll end up. That's the fun of this show. It's completely driven by the comments. Now, we gather every night, every weeknight, Monday through Friday, live, right here. Wherever you're at, that's where we gather. Monday through Friday, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. We're all over the place. I'm looking for 2 more places to go. I'm trying to stream this everywhere. So wherever you're at, whatever time it is where you're at, all over the world, because we're everywhere. Thanks for coming. But please, please, please like and share out this show. Because I literally do, I mean this 100%, depend on you guys to help grow and support this show. So please hit the like button on this video. Share it out. And most important, take part in the show. Participate. I really appreciate it. And like I said, this is a comment-driven show. Without you guys, we got no show. So, and we're heavily suppressed on every platform. So any interaction helps us do better in the algorithm, trick the computer a little bit, get out to more people. It's a free way to help. And especially now with everything so bad all across this country and set to get much worse, I don't want to ask for anything. I like free stuff, you know. And our shows, by the way, will always be that way, put out for free, as long as it's able to be. You know, if we eventually get shut down on every platform and instead of being suppressed and have to move to our own website, things may change. But I'd like to keep it free as long as that's an available platform. But let me see who's here and say hello to you guys on the different platforms. But hey, Helen, you got first tonight. Hey, Heath, Joan. Tony's here. What's up, man? Jessica. Let's see. Edward, you made it. Jeannie, Dolores. What happened to your top fan badge, Dolores? Man, it is competitive in this room. Paul, you lost your badge. What's up, Paul? On Facebook, y'all, they have badges. And they rank my fans. And it's very competitive. It's a very competitive group. Matter of fact, it got so serious at one point that Paul had to give himself a badge and has officially become top fan. So he's always top fan. And again, we're having problems with audio. Is anybody else experiencing that on any of the other platforms? I again am maxed out here. I could get a little closer. Lori says you're in Facebook jail. So everybody, Lori loves you guys, but she can't be here on Facebook because she is in Facebook jail. Zuckerberg has decided she's dangerous, so she's over here hanging out with the YouTube crowd. Hey, Kathy. Good to see some people here on YouTube. Jeffrey. All right. Audio's fine on YouTube, they say. So let's see. I can hear fine. Got booted once already, though. Yeah, Tony, we need to speak up to these idiots in the streets. Then we're going to do that. We're going to cover some stuff in this episode as best I can. You know, I'm going to do the best I can to try and make sense of everything that I went through today. That's what I've been doing. So here's what I got so far. I'm going to go through it with you. Because I'm telling you, there was so much. It was pencils down. This is a live show. I mean, I get off work at 2:30 and at 7 I go live. So I don't have a whole lot of time for researching. But this is what I've got so far, guys. This is the monologue for tonight. So here's what I got. We're being played in a major way. Something's very wrong. Now, I'm just a one-man operation. You know, most of y'all know that. And because I'm pretty honest around here, and I try really hard to do a good and informative show for you guys every day. And a group of people are even kind enough to help me, but I mostly run and research this myself. And even though I do try as hard as I can to do the best job I can for you guys, I only have so much time to dig. And there is just so much damn information to go through. Now, I've spent all my time since getting off work today, like I said, researching this George Floyd murder, and I've been researching it over the weekend as well, but that has set off this murder that has set off these riots and protests all around the country and got everybody all worked up. That's what I've spent all my time researching. And my main takeaway from what I discovered in researching is that the amount of deception that is in play right now is overwhelming, and that is the nicest way I can possibly say it. So this is a mess, what's happening. And the bottom line across the board is that we're being played for fools. No matter how you look at it or how you slice it. A lot of this is going to be my opinion, and I'm going to do my best to go into what's happening with the murder of George Floyd, but trigger warning right up front. I may upset someone for sure during this monologue. But like I said again, these are going to be my opinions based on observations of my own and things that I researched. So strap in, because it gets a little bumpy from here on out. But this whole incident actually led me to not one or two, but a field of rabbit holes. So we're just going to start with this one. We got a lot of places we got to go. But was this a staged event? Now, these officers seemed involved with something. I'm not sure exactly what yet, but in the behavior from the video that I watched, and I'm going to get into it, nothing is adding up here. Now, it's my opinion, I think that at the very least a strong possibility that this was a filmed public execution of a black man by a white cop with the intended purpose of creating racial tensions and driving a wedge in the population, with the anti-deep state sentiment and the mistrust of the media and the awakening happening with the people, and certain things that I don't want to say the word because you get tagged in every algorithm for saying it, but aren't taking hold anymore, and that's slipping. It seems that we've moved to something else to try and drive a wedge between everybody. But I'm going to start by breaking down the video. And while I do, consider these points that I'm going to make and contrast them to every other police brutality incident that you've ever seen. Now, the filmed incident is about 10 minutes long. In that amount of time, there are 3 officers holding one handcuffed man down. Now, you can't tell that in the video. You only know that because there was also pictures taken from across the street. But there are 2 other officers holding down George, other than the one kneeling on his neck. And during the 8 minutes of the entire video, that officer's knee is on his neck, which is not a tactic that is taught or approved by any law enforcement agency in this country. That is not something they are trained to do to restrain a subject. But we digress. Other than the Asian officer occasionally speaking to the crowd, there's really no communication from any of the officers to Mr. Floyd. No talking, no real shouting. When have you ever seen a police brutality video without police shouting? It didn't seem like the police had a goal. Like they weren't trying to subdue him for arrest because he was already handcuffed and on the ground, held down, like we established, by 3 cops and 1 standing there. So all they needed to do was pick him up and place him in the back of the car. There's no explanation for taking him to the ground in the first place. If they already have him cuffed, why can't they just subdue him and put him in the car? But in the video from across the street from a diner, he doesn't seem to be resisting at all. There seems to be no real reason for slamming into the ground and doing what happened. So this is leading me to believe they just wanted to film an incident of killing a black man. Think about this. These officers did not even care that they were being filmed during this. Every one of them had to know that what they were doing was incredibly wrong. Incredibly wrong. We've talked about that already. And I've already said that I feel that all of them should be charged with murder. But the officer that had his knee on George's neck stared into the camera pretty much the whole time with soulless eyes and no emotion on his face while he knowingly killed that man. And he knew. He knew what he was doing. But none of the officers really spoke much among themselves, and they didn't seem to be giving Mr. Floyd any commands. They definitely didn't respond to his pleas for his life. Just kneeled on him until he passed out and waited an additional 4 minutes after he lost consciousness to ensure that he was dead. During this whole thing, they acted like mind-controlled, remorseless assassins. It was ruthless. And there's a lot of weird in the video as well. We'll get back to more of that later. But the whole time, the bystanders are verbally communicating to the officers that he isn't breathing. But they ignore it. They ignore it. They pay no attention to it. Don't respond in any way, like robots. Now, unlike any other incident that you've ever seen, you never really see these police getting on their radios. You don't see or hear them calling for backup or calling dispatch or calling anything in, really, for that matter. No other units even seem to come. And the crowd doesn't really seem to grow or get bigger in the 10-minute period. And the scene ends with an ambulance arriving, and they just flop him on a gurney. They don't seem to be careful with him at all. I'm not a medical professional, but they don't even check his vitals. I didn't see anyone in a uniform check his vitals. They just knew he was dead, just on sight, because they don't pronounce him dead till they arrive later at the hospital. So they didn't check nothing. They just flopped him on a gurney. And who called an ambulance? For what reason? If it was the officers, if they were calling them because Mr. Floyd was having a medical issue, and that's what was going on, then they wouldn't have been kneeling on his neck as they waited for the ambulance. He's handcuffed. Now, this is one of the crazy things. There's a lot of crazy things, but this whole scene plays out. The end, they frame perfectly the back of the police car. The license plate says police, just police, like a fucking TV show. Now, it seemed perfectly framed in the picture for maximum subliminal impact. And I'm not from Minnesota, but do the license plates in Minnesota just say police? Because here in Missouri, ours have numbers. You know, they have letters and numbers on the police cars. Even the highway patrols. I've never seen a cop car where the license plate says police other than on TV or a movie or something like that. It's interesting to me. But that aside, this shows you that he was literally just 1 foot away from the back seat of that squad car. And all these 4 cops had to do was pick him up. Granted, very big, muscular man. But all they had to do was pick him up and move him 1 foot into the back seat of the cop car. But let's skip ahead for a minute to what happened after the video went viral. All of a sudden, there's this Facebook page that supposedly belongs to the officer at the center of the murder, and loaded with these pictures and posts that talk about things like standing your ground in Trump 2020, and even a picture of him in a red ball cap that says "Make America White Again." Now, this could all just be a series of coincidences, but is it a coincidence that this all just happens? This race baiting just starts to happen like, what, a week after Biden's political gaffe about "you ain't black"? And is this a coincidence that it starts to happen right as the fear campaign over the other elephant in the room, that the C word that I'm not going to say for now anyway, try to avoid, even though we've probably already triggered the algorithm just talking about this incident? But there's more. There's more to get into, because Derek Chauvin, the murderer, the cop that knelt on his neck for over 8 minutes, and George Floyd, they knew each other. That's right. The cop that killed George Floyd and George worked together at a nightclub doing security. And I first heard that and I was like, that cannot be true. But it is true. And it gets much worse than that. But they knew each other, which changes things for sure quite a bit, especially the degree of murder. If you knew him, there's evidence for premeditation. Anyways, the officer, Derek Chauvin, had 18 incidents of police brutality complaints against him. 18. Now, another weird bit on our murderer, Derek's neighbors didn't know he was a cop. When interviewed, the neighbors of this man, who lived in this house from what everyone was saying, a long time, and had spent 17 years on the police force, they didn't know that he was a cop. None of them. None of them. Now, I thought I avoided my neighbors. Now, that's just weird. It's weird. He could be one of those cops that don't take your car home or something and just never talk to his neighbors. I don't really talk to mine, so it could just be a weird detail. But I thought it was very odd that his neighbors didn't know he was a cop. Usually, everyone knows if a cop lives in your neighborhood. Everybody knows about where the cop is or who the cop is. But then we get to his mugshot. And I don't know if you saw this, but he looks 15 years younger in his mugshot. It doesn't look like the same person. There's other differences than that, but that could be explained by camera angle and different things like that, lighting, etc. I get that, but losing age, like, they look similar, I'll give it to you, but it doesn't look like the same person. But like I said, though, I'm not even done. There's more to get into with the incident itself even, but let's look for just a second, because I do want to get back to what you guys are talking about, but let's look at what is happening all over the country with these protests and the riots that are erupting over this incident. Now, there's evidence that the rioting and looting is organized and even encouraged. I know a lot of people are upset with the protesters because they're blaming them for the whole thing. But from what I'm seeing from independent journalists on the ground at these protests in different states, a large portion of what's going on is generally peaceful protests with pockets of agitators. Now, there are many examples you can find of ads for paid protesters. And we know that kind of stuff goes on. That's what I think is happening. And the journalists on the ground are reporting groups of agitators who seem to be untouchable to the police, get away with anything right in front of the police, like they just stand down and let them cause whatever havoc they want. But there's multiple reports of cops standing down for looting and rioting and violence, but attacking journalists and peaceful protesters, using force when it's not necessary and ignoring it when it is and letting it get crazy and run rampant. There's evidence of a lot of other things with these riots and protests turning into riots being pushed in that direction. There has been pallets of bricks discovered along the routes, parade routes and main thoroughfares and stuff like that. You're like it's set out and laid out like Santa Claus for rioters to throw at stuff. There's videos of people in cars passing out bricks. There's so much here that there's plenty of evidence that we are being played for fools. And this very likely could be a staged event. There's more evidence than that. You know, I'm just checking in with you guys. I want to see what you guys have been talking about. Clinton says no video, no audio. Did we lose audio and video on Facebook? Because I think we're okay. I think it's shenanigans on Facebook's part because I am not trying to talk about something that the media wants out there. And Facebook's part of the media. You know what I mean? Social media is maybe even bigger than the media. But Tony's right. The medics didn't even try to revive him. They made no attempt. And they just flopped him on the gurney. They didn't treat him gingerly at all. Tony said false flag. Helen said never saw an EMT wear a vest before. Yeah, they showed up with bulletproof vests on. When have you seen that? And like I said, back up a little bit. Who called them? Yeah, Paul, ambulance magically shows up as he takes his last breath. Nobody called it. Why would you call an ambulance for a patient who hasn't injured yet? Yeah, and if, like I said, if they were restraining him for a medical reason, then they wouldn't have been kneeling on his neck. Dale says the feed's fine here. So I think it happens for people. I believe you guys when you have problems with it. We used to glitch all the time. So that's why I get real defensive because I'm like, no, please, no. But I don't think it's me now. Like, we're pretty solid. I've gotten, due to the viewers and support from the viewers, we've gotten pretty good equipment along the years. And let me check in with YouTube, though. Lori says, well, an actor for one thing, but I hadn't heard the porn star stuff. George, I didn't even bring it up yet. He was a porn star. Again, when I heard this, thought that it had to be a lie. It's not. I didn't watch the whole film, but I watched the first 15 minutes. And that's all that you can watch until the harder stuff begins. What I can tell you about it, though, the only one that has come up so far and come to light is hardcore. I mean, the abusive kind where, you know, they usually gang up on women, but in this one it was just him, but brutal type of porn. So I don't recommend searching it out, but if you do, that's what you're going to find. So hardcore stuff is what he was doing. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying, like Lori was saying, he's an actor. He's comfortable on camera. In the 15 minutes I watched of this film, he's fully clothed. You can watch it. He's very comfortable on camera. And he's connected. He has a lot of celebrity friends. He has an NBA friend. An NBA star. I'm not familiar with NBA stars, but apparently a pretty big star. Famous. Calls him brother. It's weird, you know. A lot of it's weird. Thank you, Lori. Lori said I do a great job. I try. I do my best. I'm really trying. It's going to be easier when I get more time to devote to just this. This is what I really care about. It's what I really want to do a good job on. But Lori says he might not have died. Now I start wondering things like that. That's what I mean. I'm going to upset people. It's just going to happen. Because I'm wondering if that was even the cop from the video that they arrested, if it's the same person even. I don't trust these people. And there's more weird to get into with the incident. Like the city said that he didn't die from the strangulation. Then the family hires their own doctor. But it's the doctor from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. It's that same doctor who performs the autopsy, and then they get the result that they wanted. Hey, Susan, you're over here on YouTube? Man, hanging with the cool kids. Good to see you. Crisis acting is a job. Lori's right. Now, to ignore that is just irresponsible. And I saw evidence, and he looks a lot like him. Don't know that it's true. Not saying that it is. I'm saying he looks like him. There's a crisis actor named Ben Bailey, and they look a lot alike. They look more alike than the mugshot and the picture of the cop that they showed, or they're showing in the press. And I wish I had it right here to show to you, but he looks a lot more like this crisis actor. Kathy says there could be a cop on my block, but I haven't seen any police cars parked in any driveways. Could be. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I threw it out there with the disclaimer that this just could be a weird detail. My neighbors probably think I'm a serial killer. I don't talk to them. I go right in the house or right to my shed and back in the house. But it's because I'm an introvert. It's not because I'm antisocial. It's just they know nothing about me. They may not think I'm a serial killer. They may just think I'm a hermit. Lori says nothing about it looked nothing. Why did he have his hand in his pocket the whole time? Does anybody know? Why would he have his hand in his pocket almost the entire time? And why did he just stare at the camera? It was creepy as watching that video. I stopped an F word. I want everybody to know I do my best to make this family friendly. Yeah, Helen, you beat me to it. That same doctor was involved in the JFK autopsy. He's famous for cover-ups. And then the lawyer that they're using, also famous for these big events. I want to back up because I want to catch up with you guys. There's so much here, and I don't want to ramble. Susan says, your first time on YouTube? Well, right on. What do you think of it over here? As a viewer, I think, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, and I'm not saying anything bad about YouTube, but because some people prefer it, I think Facebook's more interactive. Because on Facebook, you can like slam react buttons. They need that on YouTube. Why don't they have that? You can only like and dislike on YouTube. And it's all about videos. You can have a different opinion than I like it or I don't like it, YouTube. So come on, get with some react buttons. Get it together. Wow, we lost a lot of people on Facebook. We were up to like 19 down to 13 now. Shenanigans. Paul says cop looks like the Cash Cab host. That's who I just said. Ben Bailey. Cash Cab. I'm looking at his thing right here. Best known for hosting the Emmy Award-winning game show Cash Cab. Looks just like him. It's weird. Weird detail. Not saying it's him. I'm saying it's weird. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Joan says, I was wondering if that cop was drugging him while his hand was in his pocket. I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird detail. Steve says, I saw Chauvin is bailed out. I didn't read that yet. But there was so much to go through after work that I didn't get through it all. I want to go deeper, and I'm gonna. And I'm probably going to make a video for the YouTube channel, actually, on this. Because I want to, about certain things. I may make a couple short ones on different things that are way off. Like maybe a breakdown of the video like I did for you guys. And on some other things, too. Lori says, yes, Facebook's genius is the interaction. That's what makes it fun. Because I know I love seeing it, but it's fun to do. When I'm at a live feed and they say something I like or I think something's funny or something, I slam the react buttons. It's just cool. I like to press buttons. And I like seeing it as a live streamer. I like to see the reactions and I like to see them go up the screen and know that people liked or what they thought about each thing that we were talking about. Or I enjoy it. Joan got booted. Maybe it's that people are getting booted from the feed. Yes, Steve, why did the cop have his hand in his pockets? I never seen that before either. You're in an aggressive situation. You got your hand in your pocket. What? It's weird. Paul says that the Asian dude looks very familiar. I have to look at him again. Did you know? Did you hear that? Is this true? I didn't get to look into this, and I saw someone say that it wasn't, but it was Snopes saying it. So I was like, "Fuck Snopes," you know what I'm saying? I don't use them as. I almost believe stuff is true when they say it isn't, but that the cop, Derek, the one that murdered George, is married to the Asian guy's sister. Is that true? That Kimberly, the wife, who's already announced that she wants a divorce and wants to change her name and everything and doesn't want anything from him, blah, 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 just wants a clean break from this man that she just discovered is a racist murderer. Susan says, I know what you're saying. I'm glad you do. I hope somebody does. A lot of times I feel like I'm rambling. Edward says, Emily on Facebook, she is live in Minneapolis. She's the one who filmed other black umbrella guy, theorized more than one. Did you see them bust the cops in the van posing as protesters? I didn't see that video of the cops in the van, but I saw multiple videos of people that seem to be agitators. And there's one in particular where the guy's wearing this mask with, I don't know what they're, ventilators on it, and they're like red, and he's been identified as a cop. So busting windows at an AutoZone. Oh, who's here, Lori? You're on 2 platforms. I thought you was in Facebook jail. Oh, you came back over here because you wanted to push buttons. Helen, I says I love to push buttons too, whether it's display aisles or comment threads. Oh, I push every try me. My wife hates it at the store. I gotta press it. If it's a button and interactive at all, I am pressing it. Yeah, Kathy, that is a lot of weird shit. Just what we've went through so far is weird. And then when you watch the video from the diner, it doesn't look like he's resisting them at all. It looks like he's walking with them. Then all of a sudden they throw him to the ground. It just seems weird. There doesn't seem to be any reason for it. They can just put him right in the car. They have him outnumbered 4-1. Makes no sense. Yeah, Susan, la-di-da, hand in pocket. Didn't even care. Not a care in the world. None of them. Like I was talking about in the breakdown of the video. If you didn't see it. Not a care in the world. Not a one of them. Not even looking around like they were doing something bad. Murdering somebody. Nobody concerned. Never. Didn't respond to anything. The umbrella guy, yeah, the incognito, yeah, he had an umbrella. I kept thinking about the dude smoking the blunt, blowing the smoke in his face, the guy that tried to get him to fight him. Well, he only did that because the cop threatened him, and he was walking with a hammer and his umbrella, and he kind of made walked up on him, made a threatening gesture, and this dude was like a little guy too, and he was like, man, I'll mess you up. But yeah, that guy was identified as a cop. Paul said looked very practiced. Yes, it screams staged. Tony says the moron population followed the agitators. This is how they do it. They did this all the way back to when they tried to get women to smoke cigarettes. They have used protests. Even before that. That's just an example. But they will set up groups to get things moving in a certain direction. Whether it's get the protest going to begin with or get it set off to set off the violence. It even happened in, where was it? Charlottesville. Helen was talking about it earlier. That they got off the same bus. The Black Lives Matter and the white protesters with the tiki torches got off the same bus and broke off into different groups. This shit is real. People call you a conspiracy theorist. They try to gaslight you about it and say that you're being crazy. Well, it's not. It's crazy to believe what comes off the TV. That's the conspiracy theory. That's how they do it. See what I mean? They get you not to listen to people like me or Tony or Lori. Anybody, Helen, anybody here, a lot of people here are truth tellers. Paul, they don't want you to listen to anybody that's telling you the truth. They want you to think we're crazy. We're crazy. We're not to be listened to. Don't pay no attention to that. That's just a babbling fool over there. Listen to Rachel Maddow. She knows what she's talking about. Well, she's been pushing a conspiracy theory for years. She pushes a conspiracy theory every night. That's all she does. You guys are hard to keep up with tonight. I love when that happens. Let me check back with Facebook. Lori says Chauvin married the Asian guy sister. Yeah. That's weird. It's just weird. It's just weird. You marry your partner's sister. You know, every cop show I've ever watched, partners are like brothers. It's odd. I don't know. I guess maybe it's not odd. Depends on how close your family is, I suppose. You know, they're awful northern. It's more of a southern thing, isn't it? But I don't know. Dale says it's like a friggin' soap opera. There is a lot of weird here. And you couldn't write this shit. Now, again, it could be thousands of coincidences magically lining up, but everyone knows, because I've been pretty open about it, I don't believe in those. And we didn't even get into the part where, from some angles, there's pictures of him handcuffed. Other angles, he's not. He just seems to be walking with the cops in the ones where he's not. It's weird. It's very weird. Divide and conquer, Susan said. It's exactly what they're doing. Kathy says a truck with a horse trailer plowed through protesters in Tulsa last night. Dude who grabbed a kid out of harm's way fell over the overpass. Dude driving the truck drove right past 3 officers and was not stopped. Helen sent me or tagged me in a video, sent me a video on Messenger of a FedEx truck running over a protester and then dragging him for a long time, knowing, had to know, could have been afraid. People were going to rationalize that for him. They're going to say, oh, he's afraid for his life. They jumped up on his truck and they're beating on it. Stop your truck. You're dragging somebody. You're screaming it at him. It's horrible. Hold on. Who needs their tail whipped? Tony says somebody needs their tail whipped. Probably Rachel Maddow. Jones says 2 cops in an SUV plowed their trucks into a crowd in New York. They pulled up to them and floored it. Then there was the tanker truck running into the crowd. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much. There's so much. It's hard to keep up with, and this is going on all over the country. There are protests happening with this all over the country, and it's being fed. It's a justified fire that is being fanned and fed and used, guided. And I think it's a big reason for it is that the fear agenda with the C word was falling apart and dying off. People were, ow. You ever get a muscle cramp in the middle of a live feed? It's pretty awesome. But people were getting tired of being cooped up. Look at the way they flooded the beaches. There was these, just in my own personal life, there were these people that I know through a work friend that had a party the minute they were allowed to with like 50 people over there. And of course, some people ended up getting sick. Whatever it is that they have or don't have, it's up for debate. But it happened. They couldn't wait to gather. You know? Helen says they were trying to loot while he was driving and they got tangled up. Oh, they were looting the FedEx truck and he got tangled up? Still, though, man, I'd abandon that truck. It's just me. I couldn't drive over nobody, no matter how scared I was. I don't even like it when I hit an animal. You know how, because I live in a rural area, and you hit a raccoon or something, man, I cringe. I got to say a little prayer. I hate that. I'd say fuck this truck, fuck this job. I ain't driving through this protest. I'm not doing that. And I'm not dying for this truck or anything in it. You know what I mean? Paul says New York just now said they're enforcing a curfew so that it's now that it's burned out already, that should help. Yeah, they allowed a lot of this stuff. And there are a lot of journalists reporting that a lot of the violence was allowed and encouraged, and then other groups were attacked that didn't need to be, but it seemed that you could just get away with stuff in front of the cops, or certain groups could get away with stuff in front of the cops. And they all seemed to be kind of dressed in uniform again, except this time it was brightly colored outfits that they were wearing. At least that's what one particular journalist on We Are Change from LA was talking about, that they were in brightly colored things with like fancy masks with bright neon colors. Kind of odd that they would stand out so much as if they were agitators, unless they wanted to be easily identified by each other from across large groups. Could be a lot of reasons. Paul says, yeah, any word on the murder hornets? That died off fast. That didn't take hold at all. They got me, though. I reported on the murder hornets. But I'm afraid of... There's a reason. I'm afraid of anything that flies around, especially if it can sting you or bite you. I don't like it. So murder hornets got to me. That was enough to keep me inside. But again, I'm an introvert, and I don't need a lot of reasons to stay cooped up. That's where I like to be. Lori says calling in the National Guard. Shit, the fucking cops... Whoops. The cops look like the Army. I was sharing protest pictures on Facebook today as I was researching. Whenever I would see something really just awful, I would share it out. There's tanks and stuff with sheriff written on them. What are we doing? What are we doing? And they're shooting people with these rubber bullets. A friend of mine at work, his friend was in Ferguson. I'm out of Missouri, by the way. There's protests going on here in St. Louis and in Ferguson. She was shot in the face with a rubber bullet. I saw many pictures of people, including journalists, shot with rubber bullets. There was one particular picture I saw with this woman's back it had to be 8 to 10 bruises from these rubber bullets. These are big. These are like the size of the top of my microphone. I know it looks bigger in the picture than it actually is, but it's pretty big, pretty good size. You know, about 2.5 inches thick and about 4 or 5 inches long. These are big, these rubber bullets. They do a lot of damage. Paul says, check out my page for nonstop riot live footage. Right on. Politics and stuff. Check it out. It's a good page. And I like it. I'm actually a contributor. I share this every day to politics and stuff. It's a good page. So definitely check that out. And check out my page, The Shawn Yankey Show. That is the official page on Facebook for this show. That's why we have the same name. The show and the page, we go together. So if you like this show and you want to follow it, follow that show. I'll follow that page as well. Steve says Trump wants to bring in the army. And it can happen. You know, that's what they're doing. They're causing civil unrest. They're playing us. Like I said, they're playing us like fools. They're driving this ship, and we really just need to disengage from it. I know you're upset because what you saw was horrible. Horrible. It was a filmed murder. And like I said, by robots that were remorseless. It is awful to watch. So I know you're pissed. I know you're mad. But you're being played. And these people, there are people out there stirring up these protests, turning them into riots, and driving the herd. You're being played. You think you're above that, but you're not. In large groups, humans are stupid. They are. It's a fact. And they're easily led, especially if they're riled up. And it happens all the time. That's all they got to do is send about 5-10 people in, throw some bricks, bake some windows, get it rolling. These people are showing up prepared to loot. They're prepared. They came to loot. And the cops are just standing down letting it happen. So you got to wonder why. Jones says, did you hear Trump's speech right before your show? He is saying he's going to put the military out. I didn't hear it. But I don't think I've ever listened to a full Trump speech, if I want to be real honest. I've heard snippets, pieces. I usually just find out what I needed to know from it. You know, I don't have a real opinion on him other than I just think he is deeply in love with himself, and I don't dig him. I also don't think he's a supervillain. You see what I mean? I don't attribute supervillain qualities to him. Barack Obama probably already would have rolled the army out. They'd have done the exact same shit. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that he's talking about it. It was my fear that that's where this is heading. If I'm going to be real honest, is martial law. I'm always afraid that's what they're going to do. You know? That's where I see this going. They're going to keep feeding this fire until they can justify it. And that's what I see them doing. Jessica says the speech was a doozy. I'm going to have to watch it then. Check it out. Ooh, said it stops now. Called on all 50 governors to call the National Guard. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Lori says NWO gold digger. Trump. He is also a heavy supporter of Israel, which I'm not. And that has nothing to do with not supporting Jews or Jewish rights. It has to do with not supporting Zionism. They're two very different things, and I don't support any of what Israel's doing, quite frankly, especially what they're doing to the Palestinian people. Hey, Barbara. Tony says the dumb MFs tearing up their own cities. But they're being egged on, man. You know that, right? And led. Steered. I'm not saying that they're not responsible for their own actions. And the fact that they're easily led is in the end their fault. But it's a science. They've been playing people for fools for a long time. They've got it down to a science. They know what they're doing. So I find it hard to be as hard on the people maybe. Because they're being manipulated. He says the orange Cheeto needs to go. He ain't going nowhere though. They're running his re-election campaign, man. So we better settle in. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier about how bad things are set to get. And, you know, I don't even know that a Democrat has a chance to win in 2024 is what we were talking about. It's going to be bad by then. Hopefully not. I am not optimistic. I should preface with that. But Lori says, pay attention, y'all. I had to get stern with a scared patient today. Oh, really? Marie said most have called the National Guard. They don't want to be there. They said they are trained to hurt people, do not want to do that to their own country's citizens. Another reason why they shouldn't be cops. The Army's on the way, Lauren Jones says. They've been rolling out for months, though. Have you not seen them moving equipment all over this country for months? People have been reporting on it. YouTube channels being taken down left and right for sharing videos about it. It's been going on for a long time, moving around military equipment all around the country. They've been getting ready for something. So was it this? You know, how much is planned out in advance? All of it? Is any of it real? You know, someone said earlier, there's a chance that he's not even dead. When did we just had a situation like that? Not that long ago. Jeffrey Epstein. Why did YouTube just stop? I'm positive that people on YouTube didn't just stop talking because they were talking a lot And now all of a sudden I don't see any ever since Divide and Conquer. When Susan said Divide and Conquer, that's when they stopped. So I'm not ignoring you guys, but I've had this happen before on YouTube. I could try reloading the page, but I'm afraid it'll kick the feed, and I don't want to do that. Sandy says they all want to play Army. And the cops get to. And that was made possible under Billy Clinton. The militarization of the police was begun under Bill Clinton. But they all work for the same people. It doesn't really matter who the president is. You know, at that level, it's for show, really. Lori said her daughter tested positive and has a cold. I told her she watches my Facebook page and knows what I share. Do not give in to fear. Fear kills. Fear does kill. And you know, you can talk yourself into being sick, and you can talk yourself out of it too. You can do amazing things with your mind. You know, I'm not a doctor, but I think it's true. Marie said, I have here in Missouri, St. Louis got choppers out. Only happens during protests. Things pre-boarded up. Preparation. Seemed like they was getting ready for something. That's probably what you were talking about in reference to. It's hard to keep up sometimes because there's a bit of a delay between what I'm saying and what you see. Lori says they messed up Tony's feed last night. Facebook? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They tinker, you know, of course. And they kick people from the feed. I experienced that a lot at my stuff. People complaining about that, getting kicked multiple times from the feed. Tony says Billy the rapist Clinton. 20-something times he ditched the Secret Service to travel to Jeffrey Epstein's island on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. That was just while he was president. How many times did he go? Did he have a season pass? Yeah, he's sick. These people, that's what they do. They're all like that. It goes way deep. The sex trafficking and the sex ring that was exposed with Epstein and that they're trying to bury. You know, and that's another thing. This all happens. Netflix just might not be related, but again, coincidences. Netflix just dropped their new show, which is excellent, by the way. Check it out. With Jeffrey Epstein's victims, exposing all the other people involved in this sex trafficking ring and what they were exposed to and getting to get their story out and being silenced, swept under the rug because it's been released during this. Again, could be a coincidence. I just don't believe in those. Lori said that in the nicest way, I'm not going to say the word because this bothers me. And I wouldn't know this if it wasn't for Babels. Because Babels is always telling me you should learn the rules. You should find out the rules, find out what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, so that way you don't end up in Facebook jail. And she's been right. Ever since I started listening to her, she's been right. She always is. But here's what I found out when I started paying attention to the rules. Certain things you're not allowed to say. And if you say them, it triggers the algorithm that is always listening to you. If Facebook was still doing it, they stopped, which I'm glad for, but some people aren't because they can't hear the show very good. They used to close caption this in real time. That used to creep me the fuck out. That they could keep up with a live stream. And they were accurate as hell. It was creepy. But it watches for words, not just Facebook, every platform. Sandy says Bill Bunting's feed was buffered so bad I had to stop watching. Bill Bunting. Somebody else said something about Bill Bunting. I need to check him out. I've not heard of him. Lori says they will never silence truth tellers. I hope you're right. Like I said, I'll end up on a website if need be, or like William Cooper, my hero in this, out of my garage on my own little radio. I'll make my own radio studio in my garage like Bill Cooper did. And I got it. I got to spread the truth. See, there's no point in knowing this, in having this information, opening your eyes and taking it all in if you're not going to share it out. Why else would you? What, do you just want to watch it all burn down? Some people do, maybe. But for some people, when you start finding out how much evil literally is in this world and how dominant of a hold it has, you have to do something about it. And the only thing we can do about it is share the truth, spread the truth, raise awareness. So that's what this is about and what we try to do here. Tony says Bill Bunting is shadow banned. I think I am too. I really don't think that's me just saying that. I really think I am. I think a lot of us are that tell the truth, that talk about things that aren't popular. Popular speech is not allowed. So I hope you're right. I hope we can get through, because every platform to do that on, the truth is being shut down. He says can do ham radio. I don't know anything about that, but I would have to look into that. What is the reach on something like that? That would be fun. You know, do a shortwave radio show. Lori says countryman smart and loving, shouting truth. Bill Bunting. I'll check him out. Joan says there's been nothing but non-stop dramatic events since this year started. Before one ends, another starts. And then on and on. Just before one even goes away. I saw a meme today. I shared it. It was hilarious. And it was the Pulp Fiction meme where, you know, he's just looking around the room when he gets to Mia Wallace's house. And it said, is COVID over? I said it. Damn it. Or is this just a halftime show? I thought it was a hilarious meme. I'm sorry that I pointed out that I said the word, but I was trying really hard not to say that word. I made it a long time. I made it an hour without saying the C word. So, Lori said I love commenting. I love people that comment because, for one, I feed off of it. So the show is better if people are talking. It gives me something to bounce back off of. And I just love what this has evolved into. This is really cool. It's hard at times, but if I can keep up with it right, this actually feels like a conversation. It feels like being at a table and listening in to a conversation, like an interesting conversation. It's neat. Like, without having to be ashamed, you can just feel like you're part of a conversation. At least that's the vibe I get when I listen back to it, and I feel like that's what we've created around here. I don't know if you agree, but I think it's cool what we've done. Herbert says no live rioting here on the screen. Yeah, we're not disagreeing. I actually thought I would run a lot of people off. I thought at least one of you would be pissed off at me by the end of it. You know, because, I mean, I implied a lot of stuff during that. I didn't outright say anything because I don't know where I land 100% on a lot of this. I'm looking into it still. It's a lot of weird. A lot of weird. And you start looking at things like they work together for years. Now, granted, George worked inside security and the cop worked outside security, but you work at the same nightclub. It's a nightclub. It's not a Ford plant. There's no chance you don't run into each other at the time clock. I'm sorry that I've dropped so many F-bombs tonight. I usually watch my mouth, or at least try to. But I'm upset. It's emotional. It's an emotional topic. That's how they got everybody all riled up. And that's why, in the theory that I presented, I believe that's what they were doing. Edward said 100 to 200. I don't know what that is. Oh, the radius for ham radio, is that what that is? Tony said ham radio is like trucker CB. Is that about its reach? Yes, I do invite guests. I love having guests on. And we can have guests. And if anybody has any guests they would like to recommend to the show, message me. But don't message the page. Please don't. Because for whatever reason, I don't know why, because I've set it up to alert me, I don't get the notifications for the page messages. Matter of fact, we've lost our badge and we have like a bad response rate time, and I'm in trouble. Not in trouble, but I got an alert about it, and they told me about myself that I have a 54% response rate. And I'm like, ugh, message me. If I don't want you to, I'll stop you. But message me if you have something cool or something you want to suggest, or if you're interested in coming on. Tony was on. Tony came on. Dropped some truth on here. I want to get Lori to come on. Lori's been on a lot of other people's stuff, so you need to come on here. And Jay, Sergeant Jay, forever has been telling me you're going to come on the show, and you're not doing it. Ain't nobody seen you on here yet. But we've got a lot of people lined up that I want. I shouldn't say lined up. People I want to get to come on. And we'll be reaching out to them. Tony says, I love truth bombs in the morning. I love truth bombs all times a day. And F-bombs are the shit, quite frankly. It actually is my favorite word. It's very hard to watch my mouth. And in a way, I sometimes feel I shouldn't be doing it because self-censorship is censorship. And I'm controlling my thoughts, so I'm interrupting the free flow of them. And it may be better if I allow myself to cuss. I question it all the time. But I've had people personally ask me not to, that I respect. You know, some people would say, so what? I don't care. I do. Like, I want to get out to people. I want to reach more people and be popular. You know, I sometimes think that these people that drop a lot of truth like I do, but cuss more, get banned because of the cussing. You know, I've never been in Facebook jail. Ever. I've been in sharing jail. But I've never had Zuckerberg lock me up. I shouldn't say that out loud because now I curse myself, but Edward says, I can't get the YouTube channel. Have been trying for 2 days so I can have 2 platforms to watch. Let me give you the link. I'll share it in the live feed right now. And this is my channel. This is the exact same show, only on YouTube. And that's my YouTube channel. And if you would give that a like, this video on YouTube, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate it because that's what I'm trying to do, is grow YouTube. We recently got it to 1,000 subscribers. Edward says, I know how to download and things. I am super frustrated to join on. No, I wasn't saying you didn't. I wanted an excuse to share the link, quite frankly. But he says I've been in Facebook jail. It changes a man. So maybe it's good that I've never been in. But the only reason why I haven't is because I listened to Babas. And she told me be careful and learn the rules. And I was reluctant, but I learned some. And I think it's kept me out. But I think a big reason is because I watch my mouth. See, my son doesn't. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but he's in the other room playing one of those shooting games, and I just heard him call someone an effing idiot. That's not nice. I didn't raise him that way. I have to talk to him about that. Kathy says, I would love to see Sergeant J on your show. Right? That's what I'm saying. So, it's not my fault. Trust me. Reached out many times. I'm trying to get somebody to come on to teach me about MMT, too. Everybody tells me I need to learn about MMT. I'm open-minded. So I'm trying to get someone on. Herbert says, I'm not doing it right if I haven't been in Twitter or Facebook jail. I have to speak more truth, bruh. Come on. If I get in Facebook jail, then I can't speak any truth. You see the paradox? But I would have some bomb-ass feeds like Tony's the other night where he had like 12,000 people there. It was amazing. Marie says, I try to go and like your YouTube show, but I watch and interact on Facebook. Well, thank you. I appreciate the support. That's very nice of you to do that. Yeah, he's raising him right? You should hear the way they talk on those damn games. We're a little off topic now, but we're at past an hour, so it's usually okay to do that. They talk like sailors on those games. They talk to each other like garbage. You made your bones in Facebook jail, Edward? I never made mine. Yeah, Tony, that's how I feel too. That's how I feel too. He said MMT is a cult. I feel that way too. I always call it magic money theory. But like I said, I respect all views and I like to take in off all information and analyze it for myself. So I've been told that I need it explained to me. So I want an expert to come on and explain it to me. I may not believe what he says to me. I may not take it in, but I'm going to allow him to plead his case and try to present it to me. Tony is the shit. Tony was one of the favorite guests I've had on the show. I like that episode. It sucks because we had a little bit of technical problems, but fight through them. Fight through them because there's a lot there. It was fun. Yeah, Tony, and she was involved in Bernie's campaign. Everybody always told me I need to learn about MMT. Look, Stephanie Colton's in Bernie's campaign, and she's his advisor, and blah, blah, blah. I just never did. I never learned it, looked into it. Sandy says, I would love to contribute to a new microphone. Yours sucks. Well, on YouTube, you can super chat. I have my eye on a microphone, and it's not even that expensive. And you're right. It does. But this is like my first microphone. This is the very first one that I ever got. Beba's bought this for me when I first started out doing this, when I first started live streaming. So that would have been about 5 years ago. And I want the same one that Joe Rogan has. And with the same boom and everything, because I want to be able to move it in and out, because I like to move around. I don't like being frozen right here. I found that I can only get good sound out of this mic when I'm right in front of it. I got to be right on top of it. Magic money theory. Yeah, go ahead. I don't have it copyrighted or anything. You can use it. Hey, Nicole. Kathy says, I was in Facebook jail for 6 months for calling an asshole. Had to make a new page. Well, you can't call assholes. I have. Would you get reported? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? I've just been lucky and no one's ever reported me because I've done and said awful things to people. If asshole's awful, I've done worse. I refuse to believe YouTube just died off, so I severely apologize to YouTube. For some reason, they're not showing me your comments. Because I see that there's still people here, even though it doesn't show me an accurate number for that either. Step up your game, YouTube. You got a long way to go. And Periscope as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about yourself, Periscope, while we're on the subject. You need to be able to show me comments on a desktop computer. I shouldn't have to have 2 devices up to look at comments. That's ridiculous. But we are going to wrap up for tonight. And I do want to tell you that we will be back tomorrow, every weeknight, Monday through Friday, at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And we're on so many places. I really shouldn't even mention those 2, but those are the only 2 I know. And whatever time this show started tonight, that's what time it's going to start tomorrow night. And we will get into more of this because I need to look into it more. There's so much to dig through here. But please take away this. We're getting played. And your enemy is not, local businesses or white and black. That's not our enemy. Our true enemy. We all have the same enemies. And they're these elite predators that lord over us. And they have an evil agenda. And they need us divided and conquered and broken up into little groups and easily manageable. That's what they need. That's what they're doing. That's what all of this is about. So don't let it happen. Rise above it. And free the weed. Yes, I need to be able to smoke in the house. Hashtags. I forgot about our hashtags. Free Shawn's weed. Y'all, Babos won't let me smoke in the house. It's hot out in the shed. I don't like it. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.